Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to the Daydon Tolbert Show. I am your host, Daydon Tolbert, back with another episode today. There's a lot going on right now, so I wanted to, let me say this. I want to talk about everything that's happening right now. We got, Kanye West made a big revelation today. Shannon Sharp obviously has some things going on, but I want to first direct your attention back to 15 years ago. And many of you may remember I did a special, one of my best specials, if it's up to me, one of my most controversial specials on homosexuality and hip hop. And we talk about homosexuality, we talk about these celebrities being into things that the world is not aware of. We all know this, but there's not a lot of proof of it, but there's little clues and things like that. And so I did a show on it where I exposed a lot of things that people were not familiar with. Many of you might remember my interview with Mark Curry, where I interviewed him about his experiences with Diddy, being signed to Bad Boy and things that he personally witnessed. He wrote a book exposing a lot of the things that we are now hearing about 15 years later from Diddy. And so that was 15 years ago. And what I wanted to do is revisit that topic. And the funny thing is, I had this outline here done 2 weeks ago. And when Terrence Howard did his interview where he discussed his experiences with being tried and invited to participate in different homosexual things. And that's when I was like, all right, wow, this is crazy. Let me come back and do a show 10, 15 years later on that. But now, everything is now, there's more to talk about is my point. So that's what I want to get into. Like I said, I want to talk about Kanye discussing his experiences as a child, performing oral sex on, what did he say, his cousin. I do want to talk about Shannon Sharp because, there's a lot to talk about with Shannon Sharp. I want to talk about Diddy. I want to talk about people like Kevin Hart that people may not think about in that way in regards to this conversation. I want to talk about people like Denzel Washington, who people may not think about when we have this conversation. But and you'll see where I'm going with this. But before we get into it, guys, I want to invite you over to subscribe, like, share the video, subscribe at DaydonTolbertShow.com. Check out trclifecoaching.com. That's my website. TRC Life Coaching is an official sponsor of the Daydon Tolbert Show. And so let's jump into it. I feel like if we're going to talk about homosexuality, we hear that term, the gay agenda. What is that gay agenda? What does that even mean? And I think about it, when I spoke about it 15 years ago, it wasn't as taboo as it is now. And what I mean by that is, I'm just going to be blunt. I feel like there were a lot more Christians 15 years ago than there are now. There were a lot more people who were willing to take a stand on what the Bible says about what's right in regards to homosexuality. I feel like those people were more open and out and about, whereas now it's like, oh no, you better not say this, you better not say that. Oh no, you'll be canceled. Or oh no, you won't be cool. Oh no, you won't get any likes. You'll be viewed as weird. You can't talk about the gays. You can't talk about homosexuality. You can't even talk about Jesus Christ. I feel like it's more pressure put on people to conform to what society wants. Like with social media being what it is, it's like it's easier for the people to attack the real Christians. And so I think because there are more eyes on you now, people are more afraid to speak out than they were back in the day. Back in the day, You would see more people posting Bible verses. You would see more people sharing Christian memes. You don't really see a lot. I don't see a lot, and I see a lot. I'm in a lot of groups. I have a big Facebook following and Instagram, all that stuff. I don't see it like I used to. And I wonder why. Why? Because it's become politically incorrect to take a stand for what is spiritually correct. And what I want to do is I'm going to talk about all these names. I'm going to get into Kanye. I'm going to talk about, Shannon Sharp. I'm going to talk about Diddy. I'm going to talk about all these people. But before we get into it, we have to put a foundation on what are we even talking about? Why is it wrong? Is it even wrong? Let Barack Obama tell you, let Michelle Obama tell you, there's nothing wrong with homosexuality. Let many pastors tell you, they don't talk about it. Back in the day, you had pastors that would talk about what the Bible says. You had people who would, matter of fact, I told this story before, but I remember when I first was introduced to Barack Obama, he was Senator Obama, and Obama was doing an interview with somebody. You can pull it up on YouTube. And they asked him, they said, hey, buddy, what do you think about, what are your views on gay marriage? There's some legislation in place and we're trying to get this gay marriage bill. Is that something you would be in favor of if you get into office? This might even been when he was running for senator. I don't even know if he was senator. I got to look it up. But at any rate, he was like, well, as a Christian man, I feel like, marriage should be between a man and a woman. That's what he said. That's what Barack Obama said. Fast forward, now he's president. He's become a champion for gay rights unlike no other. Hillary Clinton, same thing. She's even admitted. She said, well, my views have evolved over the years. Evolved? Well, here's one thing that doesn't evolve. Barack evolved. Michelle, I don't know what was going on with Michelle. Hillary's views evolved. But one thing that does not evolve, who knows what doesn't evolve over time? Many things change over the course of time, over the course of history. But what is one thing? I see y'all logging in. I see y'all joining in the live. Who knows the answer? What is the one thing that no matter what does not change? I'll give y'all a few seconds. Who knows? Okay, I'll tell you. The Word of God. Can I read? Can I preach to y'all for a second? I'm not a preacher, but can I have it right here. I just want to read a couple of things to lay the foundation so we can get into today's topic, understanding what the Word says, what God says about homosexuality. Because this is what people will tell you. And I'm sure you've had this debate. If you're a real Christian, you've had this debate. If you're not a real Christian, you've never had this debate with nobody. Guarantee you. But if you are a real Christian, you have debated with people who try to say, well, you tell them that homosexuality is a sin. They say, well, what about this? What about liars? What about adulterers? You have sex, don't you? That's a sin too, isn't it? But you do that. It's like you hear that. But that doesn't change the fact that homosexuality is still a sin. They're trying to deflect from the fact that homosexuality is a sin. And I'm not making this up. I'm about to read to you exactly what the Bible says about it. But let people try to tell you, they try to act like because there are other sins, that homosexuality isn't a sin. Or we shouldn't treat it like a sin. Because there are other sins. Okay, yeah, there are other sins. But homosexuality is a sin too. So in Leviticus 18:22, pull up your Bible if you don't believe me. Leviticus 18:22 says, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. That's right there telling you, that's homosexuality. It's a sin. Leviticus 18:22, that's what it is. You don't lie with a man like you lie with a woman, because it's not just a sin. And I'm not really gonna preach to you, but an abomination, if you guys understand biblical teachings, an abomination is different from a regular sin. Y'all know that, right? I'm not going to tell you, just do your own research if you don't believe me. But an abomination is not just like regular. It's not like I pickpocketed or, I took some candy from the store. That's a sin. That's wrong. An abomination, that's something totally different. Okay? But look. So look. Let me read y'all one more. Leviticus 20:13 says, if a man lies with a man as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, and they shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. So again, real quick, I'm not going to take too long with this, but I just want y'all to lay the foundation. God was no joke back in the day. He would punish people. He would scold people. But there were very few things. Like, for him to put you to death in the Old Testament, you really had to do some things. Like, he sent the flood. He killed everybody. Sodom and Gomorrah was, they were doing all types of crazy. So he said, I'm just going to kill everybody. Right? And so the sin had to be at a certain level for God to kill you. He didn't kill everybody for everything. But he says, if you commit the act of homosexuality, you shall surely be put to death. Like, not even a question. This is how God feels. Right? So and that's again, Leviticus 20:13 and Leviticus 22. There are more. There's verses in Deuteronomy. There's all types of verses. But I just want to give you all a couple, and I may circle back where I'm going to give you one more, so you can understand why I'm even doing this show. Why we're even because some people act like it's no big deal. So that's why it is a big deal. And the Bible says you will surely be put to death. So the next time you try to tell somebody it's no big deal, or there are other sins and it's not that big of a deal, I don't think you'll surely be put to death for fornication. I don't know. I don't think it says that in the Bible. But the sin of y'all get it by now. Let me move on. Can we talk about these celebrities? Can we talk about these weirdos? Let me ask y'all a question real quick before we go any further. So, some of y'all are new to me. Some of y'all have been following me for 20 years. For the people who have been following me for 20 years, I have been talking about these celebrities for the last 20 years, whether it's Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, like you name it, I've talked about it, you know that. So is anyone now thinking to yourself like, wow, everything we're seeing with these weirdos, these people, these celebrities, the gay stuff, the satanic stuff, like, wow, this is stuff this guy, Dedan Tolbert, has been saying literally for the last 20 years. Is anybody now starting to like get the light bulb go off in your head like, wow, he's not crazy? Well, y'all knew I wasn't. Nobody thought I was crazy. Y'all may not have been trying to hear what I was talking about, but y'all knew I'm not. Y'all know I'm not one of those guys. I might be the most non-crazy person you've ever met. Might be the realest person you've ever met. But sometimes the realest is not. It's gonna ruffle some feathers. Y'all get that. But so when it comes to these celebrities, who remembers the show I did, the first live show, what was it, 22 years ago? Whenever Cat Williams did the interview, I did a show on the industry. Was that last year or the year before? But I came back, and that was the show where I exposed everybody. If you thought the Cat Williams interview was crazy, go back and listen to the show I did on Cat Williams and how I exposed the industry. If you remember that show, I want to go a little bit deeper today. When you become a celebrity, you take an oath that is designed to pledge your allegiance to whatever agenda they have for you and overall. Okay? You have to go along with that agenda. And that's how you become a celebrity. If you want to be a celebrity, you want to go to the top. And there are levels to success. You got to understand. I'm sure you can see that. Some celebrities are like Kevin Hart, and some comedians are down there like whoever your local comedian is. You know, some celebrities are like Kim Kardashian. Some singers are like Beyonce, and some are like, you know, Ari Lennox. You know, I don't know. You pick somebody. Everyone is not a superstar. And my point is to get to the top. And, you know, many actual celebrities have spoken about this. You know, Noriega, Drink Champs, he did a little special on what is required to get to that top and how he had a choice of going left or right. And one direction led to superstardom. The other door led to not so superstar. And so people have spoken, Fat Joe, 50 Cent, all these people have talked about this stuff. And now you're starting to see it. But I'm letting you know, and you're talking to somebody, myself, who has been in that industry. I've been interviewing celebrities for the last 20 years. There was a time on this show, on the Dedan Tolbert show, where I had every major publicist in the black community reaching out to me to have their client, their celebrity client, on my show. And many of them were on my show interviewed by me. Like, Nate, go down the list. Drew Hill, Nene Leakes, the OJ. I mean, I've every major book author you can think of, national bestseller. Like, just check my history. I've interviewed almost every black celebrity you can think of when they were on the come up over the last 20 years. And so what you guys got to realize is I know what I'm talking about is my point. I'm not here trying to brag or, show you I'm just telling you, I've been around celebrities. Diddy hosted my 40th birthday party. And people say, you shouldn't tell nobody. I say, why? It is what it is. See, you guys got to realize Diddy just now, meaning in the last few months, his name became taboo. But prior to last year, people were bragging about being seen with Diddy, being at a Diddy party. And I'm not talking about the freak-offs, but Barack Obama was bragging. LeBron James was bragging. Every celebrity you can think of would brag about being around Diddy. But now all of a sudden you tell somebody you were around Diddy, it's like, oh my God, you're this. No, the freak-off was afterwards. And I already did a whole show discussing the freak-off. So go back a few months and check out that show if you missed it. But it's not about Diddy. It's about what is the agenda. You guys got to understand there is an agenda in Hollywood. What is that agenda? What is that agenda? What is their agenda? Their agenda is an anti-God agenda. I just read to you what is God's agenda. How does God feel about this gay stuff? Right? Well, unfortunately, somebody let a fly in here. Y'all know how I feel about these flies. That's a reference from 20 years ago if y'all caught it. I won't tell the story right now, but the anti-God agenda is to glorify anything and everything that God hates. So as we just read, what is one of the main things that God hates? Homosexuality. So what is the anti-God agenda? What does Hollywood want to do? They want to just throw everything homosexual in your face, right? Why? Because they worship the devil. They worship Satan. And what is worshiping Satan? It's everything that God hates. So you put everything front and center that God hates. Let me ask y'all a question. Name me a celebrity that has ever taken a stand against homosexuality and taken a stand for Jesus Christ. Name me a celebrity. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Think about it. What celebrity has spoken how I'm speaking right now? Can you name it? Can you name one person that would do a show like what I'm doing right now, that's saying the things that I'm saying right now? Think hard. One person. I can't think about what I'm saying to you. I can't name one person that would speak out against homosexuality. Why do you think that is? because they're a celebrity. Remember what I said. If you want to be a celebrity, you take an oath to go along with the agenda. If you choose to not go along with the agenda, then you're not going to be a celebrity. That's how that works. That's why you're not going to be able to name any celebrities who go against the homosexual agenda. It's not rocket science. So let's talk about this stuff. Anyone, because I have a few names that I want to mention, but anyone who goes against the gay agenda is going to be blackballed. Who are some people who have done that? I want to throw a couple of names up. Who knows Mark Jackson? You ever heard the name Mark Jackson? Mark Jackson used to coach the Warriors, like when Steph Curry was early on in his career. Remember Mark Jackson? And Mark Jackson is a Christian, and he spoke out against homosexuality and gay marriage. And he told everybody how he loves God and is down for what God believes. And what happened? Shortly thereafter, Mark Jackson was fired. He was fired from Golden State. Then Steve Kerr was brought in, and they go on and win all these championships based on a team that Mark Jackson put together and developed. And then Mark Jackson, guess what? Has never coached again. Why do you think Mark Jackson has never coached again? I mean, it's not rocket science, because he was blackballed because he spoke out against homosexuality. You know, the ownership in the Golden State franchise is, I don't know if they're gay or they're very supportive of the gay movement. And he was blackballed. I mean, it's plain and simple. And people know this. This is not like a secret. Anybody who follows sports knows this. Who else? Anybody hear the Manny Pacquiao story? Great boxer, all-time great boxer. He also is a Christian. He spoke out against homosexuality, and they banned him from LA. They said, bro, take your ass back to the Philippines or wherever he's from. I think it's the Philippines. And you're not welcome here anymore. You're not welcome. We don't want you here because you're homophobic, which is the stupidest term in the world to me. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's Manny Pacquiao, who's another one. And this guy, he stood, he survived by the skin of his chinny chin chin. Chris Broussard from ESPN. And now that I think about it, I haven't seen Chris Broussard in a minute. I'm about to kill this fly. It's going to really bother me, man. It's right up there. And it's a big one, too. I don't know how he got it. One of the kids must have let him in. But Chris Broussard is a commentator for ESPN. Everybody who watches sports knows Chris Broussard. He got a lot of heat for taking a stand for homosexuality and his views against homosexuality and his views for Christianity. You know, they weren't trying to hear that on ESPN. There's a reason why Stephen A. Smith is where he is and Chris Broussard is where he is. It's not a coincidence. And I think Chris Broussard is every bit as good as Stephen A. Smith. You know, but he doesn't represent what they want him to represent. So that's what that. Let me throw out some other names. What about Cat Williams? Now, Cat Williams is a little bit. He's interesting because, you know, he exposed a lot. Like, he has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, well, he's not a Christian per se. Well, he's not a Christian at all. But he is someone who is so bold that he's not taking a stand for Christianity. That's the difference. He's more controversial. Cat Williams is more, you know, it's just he's there for ratings. He's there to blow stuff up. But he's not like somebody that is saying, hey, doing what I did is reading to you exactly what the Bible says about homosexuality. He's more so exposing the industry. And so they're like, all right, whatever, he's crazy, he's this, he's that. You know, but for a while, you guys got to realize, Cat Williams was also canceled. Cat Williams, you know, he wasn't out and about like that. You know, Cat Williams was, you know, you didn't hear from Cat Williams for a while. Those movies slowed down. The comedy special slowed down. You know, he was battling with Kevin Hart and they were going back and forth. It was like he was, not that guy. and so there were no Netflix specials, but whatever happened, whatever he worked out, he was arrested, a few times. It was like they took his kids, and he said this specifically. He said, hey, what did he say? Y'all saw the interview where he, not the Shannon Sharp interview, but the other interview where he was like, yo, man, the Illuminati doesn't play around. He's like, when you go against them, they will go against you, and everyone will go against you. Everyone will hate you. The media will hate you. They'll try to put you in jail. They said all this stuff. Let me tell you who else has a very similar story. DMX. Remember DMX, prior to him passing, spoke a lot about the gay agenda, who runs hip hop, how the executives most times are gay, and they want you to do certain things, and if you refuse to do certain things, then they take you out of your celebrity status, they put you in jail, they turn the media against you, they turn everybody against you. DMX spoke about that a lot. Next thing you know, in and out of jail. You pull it up on YouTube. Google DMX talks about gay agenda. DMX talks about Illuminati. Whatever you want to type in, you'll see it. And the next thing you know, I'm just going to ask you a question. What was DMX's first song? What was the song that introduced DMX to the world? Who hip hop heads? Who knows this? Y'all know where I'm going with this. What was it? 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Was that LL Cool J song? He had the verse on there, right? And he killed it. And ever since then, DMX was a household name. 4, 3, 2, 1. That was the name of the song, right? What date did DMX have his heart attack and where he passed away? 4/3/21. Look it up. You think I just meant look it up. That's not the day he died. That's the day that he had a heart attack, went into the hospital. I think he died a couple days later. But 4/3/2. Y'all don't want to hear that, man. Y'all think this stuff, people are not ready for the truth I found. Most people, I was having a conversation about this this weekend with some people, and most people I found are not really comfortable with understanding how the world really works. They don't want to hear that their favorite celebrity had to take it up the ass in order to get their record deal. What did Drake say about Meek Mill? I talked about this on my last special. What did Drake say about Meek Mill when they were beefing? He said, I seen what you did for fame. Imagine what you do for freedom. What does that even mean? I mean, you know what it means. He said, I saw what you did for your fame. Why would somebody say something like that? I saw what you did for your fame. Imagine what you do for freedom. This is when he was in jail. Imagine what he'd do to get out of jail. This is what you did to become a millionaire. What would you... Rick Ross had a line back in the day, and he said, he had a line in one of his songs. He said, if you want to be the best, he said, I'm so sophisticated. To get a verse from me, you got to be initiated. These people will tell you exactly what they're into. And all you got to do is listen. I'm so sophisticated. To get a verse from me, you got to be initiated. Y'all know what that means. You see celebrities throwing up this sign and throwing up devil horns and you know what I mean? You know what it is. That's what that means. They were initiated. It's not right. I mean, this is 2025. Okay, I get there was an excuse back when I did this show in 2010. There was an excuse for not knowing what I'm talking about. But come on, guys. It's been 20 years. Like, the show's over. Like, the jig is up. Like, it's okay to understand what's really going on out here. You don't have to pretend anymore. We don't have to pretend and act like we don't see these celebrities throwing up these secret signs. You don't have to act like you don't know what it means. Me and my wife be watching movies. She doesn't like when I talk about this stuff. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this one. We be watching movies and celebrities be throwing up different signs and stuff. And I'd be like, back in the day, I would pause it and I would take a picture of it. She'd be like, really? Can we just watch the movie, Dedan? Can we just watch the movie? And I'm like, I got to show the people what's going on. And so I would show people what's going on. They'd be like, what's that? What you think it is? You know what it is. But so it's like, I'm not making this stuff up. But so what I'm saying to y'all is, back in the day, you know, if you want to get to a certain level, there's going to come a point where you have to make a decision. What are you willing to do for the fame? Dave Chappelle was presenting. He's told this story. Dave Chappelle told this story. He said, yo, hey, buddy, we want you to throw in this dress. We think this would be really cool if you threw in a dress. Dave Chappelle was like, why do I got to throw in a dress? I'm funny without a dress. I don't want to wear a dress. Nah, you know, we think it would be a good idea for you to put the dress on. I don't really want to put a dress on. And fast forward, he didn't put on a dress. Next thing you know, Dave Chappelle was gone. He disappeared. They canceled. He lost his $50 million contract. They said he moved to Africa or wherever he went, and he was gone. He was canceled because he took a stand. Now, fast forward, Dave Chappelle is back. See, one of the things is it gets cold out there. It gets real cold and lonely out there. You know, these celebrities, remember, y'all know China McClain? China McClain is, you know, and it's many others who have taken a stand for Christianity. What's the dude? I just watched the interview on The Breakfast Club with Brandon T. Jennings. And he spoke about how he exposed the whole industry. You know, guy from Big Mama's house, he exposed the whole industry, took a stand for Jesus Christ, and was going out the media for a long time. And he was on the Breakfast Club recently, and they asked him, they said, yo, bro, why are you back? Like, what happened? And it was so interesting watching him squirm in his seat. He was go watch it when you get a chance. Brandon T. Jennings, he was so uncomfortable because he knows now that he's back, he can't talk that same stuff that he talked before. Dave Chappelle will never talk about not wearing a dress again. Brandon T. Jennings will never talk about that stuff. China McClain will never talk about that stuff. They try it. Alexa Sky, the IG model, she did a whole video on how she was not going to show off her ass and her breasts because she loves Jesus Christ. And go on her page right now. Go pull up any picture recently, and I guarantee, go to the comments, and you're going to see all these people. It's calmed down as of late, but like over the first couple of months, they're like, yo, I thought you were a Christian. Now she's back posting ass shots and twerking and doing all time. And it was like 1,000, 2,000 comments talking about Alexa Scott, what happened to Jesus? What happened to God? It gets cold out there. These celebrities try to go to God, but God doesn't pay the bills usually. Because remember, to be a celebrity, you got to turn your back on God. You got to love Halloween. You got to love the gay agenda. You got to support the transgenders. You can't support nothing that God is talking about. You can thank God if you want to. Just don't stand on nothing that God stands on if it contradicts what these celebrities stand on. If you do, you're going to be canceled. Plain and simple. That's how it works. You can't, but it makes sense, because what else does the Bible say? What else does the Bible say? You cannot serve two masters. You can't love God and the world. What does the Bible say? What does it say? If you are a friend of the world, you are what? An enemy of God. Oh my goodness. Wow. Did y'all know that? Some of y'all heathens listening, y'all never even heard that scripture. Look it up. If you think about listen what I'm saying to you. Another one is, if you are loved by the world, what is not? If you are loved by the world, you will be hated by God. That's crazy. What they say, that's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? That's really crazy work. That's y'all like saying that. You will be hated by God if you're loved by the world. So right now, think of all these celebrities who are loved by the world. And then think about what they represent. The Bible says God hates them. You love them. Your favorite celebrity that you love, guess what? God hates them. Don't be mad at me. I'm just saying what the Bible says. Beyonce, Barack. Oh, don't get me in trouble. I'm just saying, you love them, right? If you're in the world, you will be hated by God. That's wild, man. And the craziest thing is, a lot of these celebrities grew up in church. They grew up in church, but they got done up the ass for fame. That's what happens. Y'all know that, right? That's what happens. That's how you be. Not everybody, but a lot of these celebrities, a lot of these celebrities will engage in homosexual acts to become a celebrity. But not all, but every celebrity will sacrifice something, whether it's morals, values. What did Cat Williams tell you? He said he wants to keep his virgin booty hole intact. Why do you think look at what I'm saying. I don't agree with everything Cat Williams is saying, and he doesn't say everything that I'm saying. But if you connect the dots, what did he say about that virgin asshole? That how these executives like Diddy and Tyler Perry and whoever else, I'll talk about Tyler Perry, they want that ass. He said, sometimes you got to tell Diddy no. You got to tell him no. Well, if you tell him no, then you're not going to get what you want. Let's move on. So look, I want to talk about Shannon Sharpe. Y'all want me to talk about Shannon Sharpe? I was going to wait till a little bit later on, but I'm going to say this. Well, all right. It's too much. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know where it's too much to talk about. This outline I'm looking, it's like 5 pages. How long do y'all want this show to be? Y'all want me to do a part 2? This show is going to be like, I'm going to try to keep it moving, but so Kevin Hart, all right, let's go there. Remember when I was telling y'all how initially these celebrities, they come in with these, guidelines, these barriers that they'll never cross. I remember in an interview, Kevin Hart said, I will never wear a dress. That's just not what I'm into. That's not what I do. I don't knock them for doing what they do, but that's not me. That's not my style. That's not what all this weird stuff. Fast forward. Remember what I told y'all? To get to the top, not here, but to get to the top, you got to go all the way. You got to sacrifice what you said you never do. Barack Obama said specifically, I would never support homosexual gay marriage because as a Christian, I believe it's between a man and a woman. Next thing you know, he's at the top. Where's Kevin Hart at? Who's the #1 comedian in the world? At the top, Kevin Hart, #1 comedian of all time, statistically. Dave Chappelle, boom, in a dress. All that talk about Dave Chappelle not wearing a dress, Google Dave Chappelle in a damn dress. He put the dress on. You think I'm lying to you? Go look it up. Google Dave Chappelle wears dress. You'll see a picture of Dave Chappelle in a damn dress. Who's the #1 action star in the world? The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. At the top. In a dress. Every major black action star. Wesley Snipes at the top. In a dress. Kevin Hart in a dress. The Rock in a dress. Martin in a dress. The #1 black comedian you think of. Richard Pryor. You already know what Richard Pryor was into. Taking it up the ass. Come on, man. Shannon Sharpe. Shay Shay. Hey, Shay Shay. Come on, man. Don't no grown man call himself Shay Shay. Gay ass. Come on, man. Tyler Perry, the #1 entertainer in the world. Tyler Perry, the richest entertainer. Tyler Perry was on the Forbes list as the #1 richest not black entertainer. The #1 richest entertainer in the world is who? Tyler Perry in a damn dress. Y'all want me to go on? How many more do y'all want me to name? I'm not naming minor people. I'm not naming minor star. I'm naming the biggest stars in the world put on the damn dress. Who else? Shay Shay's ass. Club Shay Shay. I wish I would come call me Shay Shay. Come on, man. This is weird. Obama. Y'all want me to talk about? I'm not even going to talk about. I don't want to ruin y'all's. I'm not even going to go there with Obama, man. I'm not even going to go there with y'all, man. But the #1 president in the world, the #1 president of all time, maybe, was the #1 advocate for gay marriage. Come on, man. After saying he would never support that. Y'all want one more? Watch this. Watch this. Who is the #1 actor of all time? Who is it? Not even black actor. Who is the #1 actor in the history of acting? Denzel Washington, right? We all know that's what it is. Denzel Washington. And very few things surprise me in this industry, but this was crazy. So back in the day, if you guys follow his career, I followed his career his whole life, or his whole career. Denzel, when he first came in, said and was very vocal about, I will never do a gay sex scene. He said, that's just not, I have morals, I have value, that's just not what I'm into. You'll never catch me kissing a man. You'll never see me having sex with a man. You'll never see none of this. You'll never see that from me. That's what Denzel, look it up. Anything I'm not one of these clout chasers. I'm not one of these weirdos that y'all follow. That's not me. Anything I say to y'all can go and verify. Denzel Washington said all this stuff. I would never put on a dress. I would never do a gay sex scene. He said this. How many of you people saw Gladiator Part 2? Did anybody see Gladiator Part 2? So Gladiator, for those of you who may not know, is arguably my favorite movie of all time. Like if you ask me, hey Dedan, what's your favorite movie? I'm probably going to be like Braveheart, and I'm probably going to say Gladiator. I love those types of movies, but like depending on the day, it'll probably be Gladiator. So when Gladiator 2 was being announced, I'm like, yo, I had it marked on my calendar. Like, yo, I'm about to go see I went to go see it by myself in the theater. My wife isn't into that stuff. So I'm going to go see this by myself. Got my popcorn. And what do I see? Remember, the #1 actor in the history of acting, Denzel Washington, who said, I will never do a gay sex scene. I'm in there, and this dude is talking that medieval talking, all this stuff, all up in this dude's face. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, he's about to kiss this dude. So I get my phone out, and he's gay. If y'all don't know by now, if you didn't get the hint, Denzel Washington is gay in the movie. And I'm looking, I'm like, yo, bro, Denzel, what happened, bro? I thought you said you were never going to do a gay sex scene. And this dude is up there caressing a white man, touching on him. Kiss. Now look, there's no kiss. I'm not going to cap for y'all. But watch this. There's no kiss in the film. But this is the price of fame. I want y'all to really hear what I'm about to say. Remember the agenda. If you want to get to the top and you want to stay at the top and you want to stay in the good graces of the powers that be, who are all gay themselves, who put you in this position of power, fame, and influence and wealth, you got to go with the agenda. They're not trying to hear all that. I'm not doing this. Kevin Hart tried to say I'm not doing this. Barack tried to say I'm not doing this. You know, they're not trying to hear that. You're going to do what we tell you to do. So then they made, and it didn't even click to me. I see this stuff so clearly, but even this took me a little while to really click. I'm like, oh, snap. If y'all caught, I don't know if you caught this, Denzel Washington did an interview prior to the movie being released. And he was like, yeah, this is one of my most challenging but most fun films I've ever done. They say, why, bro? Why is that? He's like, well, it's something I've never done before. I had a kiss with the man. I had a kiss with the man in the film. Like, oh, word, you did? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay, well, what? He's like, well, it didn't make the movie. They didn't put it in the movie. It got edited out. He's like that. So I went all these years without kissing a man, and they edited my kiss out. Look it up. Look up the interview. I'm not making this up. And they're like, oh, damn, why'd they take it out? He's like, I don't know. He's like, but I loved it. I loved, it was a great movie. I had a great time shooting it. You had a great time shooting it. I thought you said you would never do a gay love scene, Denzel. And so it took me a minute. I'm like, oh, snap. And so before I go there, the director of the film, Ridley Scott, they did an interview with him. And they asked Ridley Scott, they said, Ridley Scott, how was it working with Denzel in the movie? Denzel revealed that he shared his first kissing scene with a man in the film. How was that directing him in that? He's like, nah, man. He was like, nah, we didn't. It wasn't no sex scene. It wasn't no kissing. He said Denzel never kissed a man. This is Ridley Scott saying this. So Ridley Scott is saying that Denzel, somebody's lying. Denzel said he kissed a man in the film. Ridley Scott, the director of the film, said, no, he did not kiss a man in the film. So then that would make me ask, like, well, damn, why would Denzel Washington, the greatest actor of all time, lie about kissing a man? Why would he do that? What does Denzel have to gain by saying he kissed a man if he didn't even kiss? Because it's not in the film. I watched the film myself. Denzel never kissed a man in the film. He never kissed a man. So why would he lie? He lied because he was told to lie. He lied because he had to show after all these years that he is down with the agenda and that he is still controlled. They showed Diddy, he can be controlled. They showed Drake, he can be controlled. They showed Jay-Z, he can be controlled. No matter, they are quick to let you know, no matter how big you get, no matter how much money you get, you are not on our level. Kanye West, we will knock you down. Barack, we will not, anybody can get it. Denzel, you will go on here and tell these people, first of all, you're going to play the gay man in the movie. You're going to take the role. And aside from that, fine, there's no actual kiss in the film. Well, you're going to tell them there's a kiss because we told you to. That's why. That's the reason Denzel lied. And I'm focusing on that so y'all can really understand how powerful these people are. They can make anybody do whatever they want. And if you choose to go against the agenda, you will be fired like Mark Jackson. You will be blackballed like whoever you want to name. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to tell y'all, man. Let's move along. So one of the things that I wanna direct y'all's attention to is you talk about this gay agenda. We talk about homosexuality in hip hop. Look at every major television show. You got a gay character, a main gay character at that. And I'm not gonna go through them, but every movie, there's a gay flamboyant man. Every radio station, I'm here in Philadelphia, but whatever city you're in, I'm pretty sure, go to your urban station, and one of the major, personalities on the radio will most likely be gay. You know what I'm saying? You know, these reality shows, every prominent, you know, there's always a prominent gay person, whether it's the Housewives of Atlanta. You got, you know, Andy Cohen, who runs the whole thing, obviously gay. I mean, it's just one of those things. Everywhere you turn, there's going to be a gay. Who watches The Chi? You know, that's, you know, my wife and I watched that. That's one of the best shows that we have in our community. But it almost lost me, and it lost a lot of people when they introduced the transgender storyline. Ain't nobody trying to see that, man. This is a show about the hood. Like, this is talking about the hood in Chicago, and a great storyline. But now you got to have this whole gay story, this whole transgender storyline. Ain't nobody trying to see that, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at who else we have, you know, in this radio space. Remember when I talked about number one at the top? Movies, TV, action, radio. What's the number one radio show of all time in the black community? What's the number one? Well, you know, what is it? The Breakfast Club. They're in the Radio City, what is it? The Hall of Fame, the Music Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as the number one most syndicated, that's shown in hundreds of markets around the world, heard and seen and all this other stuff. DJ Envy, Charlemagne the God. You got this Just Hilarious, Lauren LaRosa, this new crew. But you don't know, when you turn on the Breakfast Club, you don't know what you're going to hear. You don't know what the topic is going to be. But I can assure you, one thing you're going to hear every day, without a doubt, is gay jokes between DJ Envy and Charlemagne. Now, this is not even a thing. This is not like me hating on them. This is a 100% fact. You don't believe me? Right now, go on YouTube and type in The Breakfast Club. I don't care what show. I don't care what segment. I don't care what you type in. I don't care who the guest is. You pick. Click on the link and listen to it. I 100% promise you, you will hear Charlemagne and DJ Envy flirting with each other about being gay. Go ahead. You think I'm lying? Try it out. Turn it on right now. Every single day, these dudes are sitting up there talking about having sex with each other. They are talking about being attracted to each other. You know, things that they do in their private time, homosexual acts. This is DJ Envy is a married man to a beautiful wife. You know, has 6 kids. Charlemagne, I think, has 5 kids, is married. And every day they're on the air. The number one thing, listen to what I'm saying to you. The number one show in the world, the number one radio show, the number one morning show. There's no show more highly rated. Why do you think every single day they're having these gay jokes? You think that's with 2 married men, supposedly heterosexual men? Why do you think they're flirting with each other every single day? That is by design. That is because they have to. They are gay. They joke about gay acts that they've done privately every single day. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. How do you get 2 black men, young journalists, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You gotta pay the piper. We're not even gonna talk about the crimes and the rapes and the allegations that have been covered up from Charlemagne and DJ Envy, and how DJ Envy should be in jail right now. If you've been following that whole situation with Cesar Pena, with the real estate scam, the Ponzi scheme that they had going on, DJ Envy should be in jail with Cesar. But he's protected by these people because of the role that he plays. Charlemagne should be in jail right now because he raped the girl at the party when she was 16. He was already arrested for it and everything. They swept it right under the rug. He is being protected. Diddy was being protected. All those gay acts, all this stuff you're hearing about now, he was being protected until he wasn't. Jay-Z, he's been protected all these years. But as I told y'all a couple weeks ago, his time will come. When they are done with him, all this stuff is going to come right back like it never left. Freaking R. Kelly was protected all those years. Bill Cosby was protected all those years. But protection comes at a cost. Protection comes at a cost. All these celebrities, not just the ones I just named, it's all of them. They go to these Hollywood. Y'all ever been to a Hollywood party? I have. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but I have. And I'm just letting y'all know it is not, these celebrities are not what you think. Do y'all know that you can't go to these parties without signing a non-disclosure agreement? Some of these non-disclosure agreements are signed with a pen. Some of these non-disclosure agreements are signed with a prick of your blood. Did y'all know that? Did you know that? What are you saying, Data? I'm saying to go to some of these Hollywood parties with the celebrities that y'all all know and love. They have your DNA on file. They can put that DNA and will put that DNA wherever they want to put whatever crime they want to put on you if you ever get out of line. Did y'all know that? They have videotapes. Why do y'all think they won't let Diddy out of jail? Why do you think they have him in a cell? All these other people get bail, they get a bond, they get, let out on their own recognizance, whatever the case. They know Diddy has videotapes. They know he has resources, that he has too much information. He can do too much damage, so we got to keep him locked up. Did y'all know that he's on a RICO? They got Diddy on a RICO. This is a RICO case that they are building on Diddy. And that's what they don't want to talk about the real charges. Y'all ever notice that? They don't want to even talk about the charges because a RICO is not just one person. They're trying to show that he has an ongoing criminal enterprise. But nobody has a criminal enterprise by themselves. And the problem is Diddy was doing these crimes and all this dirt, these freak-offs with all these high-level executives that are protected. They didn't piss nobody off, so they're still protected. That's why we don't know their names. That's why everybody's only talking about Diddy. But Diddy's not the only one listed on the lawsuit. Y'all know that, right? Listen to what I'm saying to you. Diddy is arrested for crimes. But Diddy is not the only one listed on those affidavits. Okay, so who are the other people? Exactly. They're being protected. LeBron James. His time is coming. Drake already exposed him. Drake went out on a limb and exposed him. That's strike number one against Drake. You ever heard how the mafia, you're not allowed to kill a made man? Well, Drake is he's doing like a major no-no. He exposed somebody who's protected by the elite. Everybody knows in the industry, LeBron has been cheating this whole time. LeBron is not a saint, but you didn't know that because he's protected. The mainstream, listen, my major in college was journalism and communications media. I studied this stuff. Did you know that, there are certain topics that journalists aren't even allowed to talk about? Did you know that? So, I'll put it to you like this. So if you work for, and these program directors, these executives, they're the gatekeepers. And there was a time where if you were in radio, the program director had a direct line to the elite. And so everybody who worked at the station had to go through the program director and get permission on what to talk about, what to report on. These news stations, I studied this. They can't just report whatever they want to report. They got to report what they're allowed to report. If a story is not approved, then it doesn't get reported on. There's certain reasons why you don't hear certain topics ever on the news, right? You never hear certain topics because they're not approved topics. They want to keep that stuff secret. There's a reason why no news source like Extra, Access Hollywood, TMZ, why did they not talk about Drew Sidora having sex with LeBron James and all these other models that have been with LeBron James? Somebody asked me today, we were talking about it. They were like, yo, have y'all noticed that all these celebrities, they deal with the same women? Oh, they just pass them around. Why is that? And I said, well, there's a perfectly good reason for that. Because they all are part of the industry. It's a known thing that that they are not going to run their mouth. They're not going to put you on blast. They're not going to file any lawsuits. They're going to play their role. And those are the women that these celebrities will choose to deal with because they don't want the problems. So let's keep it moving. So Terrence Howard recently did an interview. I don't know what the platform was, but Terrence Howard did an interview, and he was speaking about how he was tried in the industry by various people, various executives, but he said specifically how Diddy would hit on him. And they asked him, he was like, yo, Diddy was acting at the time. He was like, hey, we want you to coach Diddy, give him some acting lessons. And he's like, okay, cool. So he said he went over there. He said, all right, so what do you want to work on? And Diddy just was staring at him, just looking at him, smiling. He's like, yo, what's up with this dude? And then he kind of got the picture like, yo, I'm not here for acting lessons. I'm here because Diddy wants me here. I'm here because this dude, that's what he does. And there have been countless celebrities that have told that same story about Diddy and how he is, that's what he's into. Cat Williams, a bunch of people talked about it. Who saw the interview with Columbus Short? I talked about that on my other show, where Columbus Short said he was laid, Columbus Short from Scandal and, actor, good actor. But I haven't seen him in a lot of things. Now that I think about it, I wonder why. Maybe it's because he told Diddy no. What's the last movie you saw Columbus Short in? Now, he does a lot of these B-list movies. You catch him in the, what was that movie? What was that movie? Y'all know what I'm talking about. The black novel. Me and my wife watched it. It was actually pretty good. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but he told Diddy no. He told a story of how he was laid up with his wife when in the middle of the night he gets a phone call. He's like, what's up, Playboy? What's up, man? You coming over to the hotel? He's like, nah, I'm with my wife, bro. Like, what's up? Like, wow, what you got going on? He's like, nothing. You coming over? He's like, nah, man, I'm chilling right now. I'm with my wife. He's like, oh, all right. We ain't seen Columbus Short in anything since. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when you tell Diddy no. You got to go with the program. Can I read something? I read to y'all the scriptures earlier. Can I read y'all one more? 1 Corinthians. I want to read this one more. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11 says, or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor the idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor the drunkards, the revilers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. Say some of you were the homosexuals. Some of you were the thieves. Some of you were the idolaters. But you were washed, you were sanctified, you were justified in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God. That's 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11. And it tells you right there. If y'all joined in late, go back and listen to the entire show where I talked about what the Bible actually says about homosexuality. This right here says you will not inherit the kingdom of God if you practice homosexuality. So that means all these weirdos out here, all these transgenders, and the people who support them, the people who voted for them. Oh my gosh, I don't want to I don't want to talk about the vote because a lot of y'all voted for Barack. A lot of y'all voted for Kamala. A lot of y'all voted for Clinton. A lot of y'all voted. I'm not saying you should vote for Trump because Trump is an asshole. Let me be clear about that. Because some people think that if you don't support Kamala, then you must somebody on my friends they said I said, well, that's what you voted for. They had a problem with something that this gay stuff. I said, that's what you voted for though, right? Oh, but you voted for Trump. Who said that? Who? When I didn't say nothing about Trump. I said, that's what you voted for. And she automatically assumed I voted for Trump. And that's the mindset. That's the brainwashing that these people have. That's what they want you to think. If you don't support Kamala, you must support Trump. If you don't support Trump, then you must, it's not, guess what, guys? It's okay to support this. Right here. This is called the Bible. I'm not a Trumper. I'm a Bibler. You know what I mean? What they say? Oh, the Bible thumpers. I asked somebody, I said, what's a Bible thumper? What does that mean? What does that even mean? When you people say that like it's an insult. You ever heard people try to, that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at. We are at a place where loving God, professing a love for Jesus Christ, has you labeled a Trumper. Because if you tell somebody, well, no, honestly, I don't support gay rights. I don't support gay marriage. I don't support transgenderism. I don't support abortion. You're called a Trumper. I thought back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, that was called being a Christian. You know what I mean? That's what that was called. That was called being a Christian. Now it's called being a Trumper. And they are using Donald Trump to take away, and Donald Trump isn't a Christian. Let's not get that twisted. He's an asshole. But he's being used, and y'all don't even see it. I don't want to get too far off track, but they are using him to, it's like, if he calls himself a Christian and he says, God bless America and all this stuff, and you support what he's saying, then you're labeled a Trumper. And if you're labeled a Trumper, then you're labeled as uncool and this, that, and the third. But we're losing the fact that we still got to be a Christian. And we can't support non-Christian values. I don't care what your political affiliation is. You shouldn't support abortion. If you're a Christian, go ask a Muslim, do they support eating pork? Do they support abortion? Do they ask these Muslims these questions? They take a hard stance on it. But you ask a Christian, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I support. I'm a Christian, but I support everything Kamala's talking about. It's like, what? Come on, man. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? That's why I wish, like I said, I'm a Christian, but, there have been times in my life where I look at other faiths and how they take a stand for what they believe in. I'm just like, wow, I sure wish Christians could take a stand like that. It's people who won't even share this video because of what I'm talking about, because they don't want to be labeled as weird. You're listening right now for this whole show, and you agree with everything that I'm saying, but you won't take a stand on it. Back in the day, I used to joke, people who listen to my show with their Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity sunglasses on. Remember that? Listen to these, you know what I'm saying? I'm not listening to Dedan Tolbert. I'm not listening. You know what I'm saying? Let's just open on my laptop. I'm not really listening. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to listen. There are people, I told you this before, and it just always tickles me. People won't even share my show and my advice, but they will share watered down versions of my advice from other people in my group. I'm telling you, don't share no weird weirdos in my group that are giving my advice that I've been giving for the last 20 years. If you're going to share something, at least let it be substantial and something I've never said before. But don't share a 5-minute video or a 30-second video of somebody basically saying the same things that I say every day, and you don't even share me saying it. What is this? Does that make any sense to anyone listening? It can't make sense. But listen, let me move on, man. Let me move on. It's crazy. Let me ask y'all a question, man. So, like I said, man, Terrence Howard, he talked about, Diddy coming on to him, and he said, nothing, this is something I admired from him. He said, nothing is more important than your manhood and your masculinity. Did y'all hear him say that? I was like, wow. And it clicked to me because you don't hear many black actors, you don't hear anybody really say that. Because now it's cool to be androgynous. It's cool to be open, bisexual. I remember, I forget what Bond movie it was, and this was crazy, man. James Bond is one of the James Bond movies, and this was really something interesting. James Bond is a iconic character. And it was one of the movies with Daniel Craig. And he was tied up. And he was like, and the guy that was the villain was gay. He was like one of those weirdos. And he was going to do something to him. He's like, yeah, how about I do this to you or whatever like that. And he's like, I bet you that's something you haven't experienced before. Something like, and James Bond, the most iconic character ever, was like, something to the effect of, what makes you think what makes you think it'll be my first time? And I remember sitting in the theater, and I was like, wow. And it was very subtle. And when you start to understand this stuff, that you won't miss those types of things. You won't miss those types of little things. It's like, wow, they just introduced James Bond as gay. The most masculine, cool, suave, debonair character of all time. They opened up the door for the possibility that James Bond has had a penis in his ass before. And that's like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, these people are sick. They are sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, to try to do it. Next thing you know, Spider-Man will be gay. Superman will be gay. Batman. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they're taking all of our heroes. You know, we saw John Cena in a dress. We've seen The Rock in a dress. John Cena is arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. He just won the title on WrestleMania this past weekend for a record, 17th time? That's more than any other wrestler in the history of wrestling. But Google John Cena in a dress and see what comes up. Remember his humiliation ritual? I think it was at the Oscars a couple years ago. They had him running across the stage butt naked. That's when he was making the transition from wrestling to acting. When The Rock made the transition from wrestling to acting, he had to put on a ballerina dress. Listen, you can't make that transition for free. There has to be a sacrifice of some sort. You got to let them know that you're down. The Rock had to put on a dress. John Cena had to put on a dress. He had to run across the stage butt naked, holding his crotch like that. Kevin Hart had to put on a dress, sacrifice things that he said he would never do. Denzel had to kiss a man, what he said he would never do, play a gay role. These are the best of the best of the best. John Cena, earlier in the show, I named y'all all the best of every single industry. Every single industry there is, the best. I just named you. The best comedian, the best actor, the best singer, everything. And they all wore a dress. So going back a second to people being approached. Who remembers Christian Keys? Y'all know who Christian Keys is? Christian Keys is I'll say a C-list, D-list actor in a lot of the Tyler Perry stuff, these straight to DVD movies and things like that. But he did a video last year, I guess, of, he broke down, he was crying, and he was saying that he was accosted by a unnamed billionaire. He said he was propositioned for sex. He turned down the sex. After he refused the sex, he was accosted by this billionaire. Now, to my knowledge, there's only a handful of black billionaires. Oprah, Kanye West, Michael Jordan, Bob Johnson, Magic Johnson, Tyler Perry, Jay-Z. We can throw Diddy in there. Diddy's right there close to it. But, this is what Christian Keys said. So my question is, who are you talking about, bro? Who was this black billionaire? Can we say for a second, I personally believe that it was Tyler Perry. If the story is even true, he could just be clout chasing. He could just be clout chasing. You know what I'm saying? And it could be nobody. You know what I'm saying? It could actually be what he wanted to happen. Gay ass. But let's just say it was Tyler Perry. That would not be shocking. I've said, for 20 years, Tyler Perry's a gay man, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. That's just what I believe. And anyone with two eyes can clearly see that is a gay man. You know what I mean? Like, you can clearly see it, the way he looks, the way he walks, the way he talks. But more importantly, the way he writes. And I've taught, I used to, back in the day, I used to do shows. Y'all remember, I used to take these movies and do whole 3-hour analyzations of them. I did a show on Tyler Perry's Temptation. I did one of my all-time favorite show. If I had to name one show that I've ever done, it was my 3-hour special breaking down for colored girls. And that was an amazing show. I did whenever that movie came out. And I talked about that. I talked about Why Did I Get Married? I talked about Diary of a Mad Black Woman. These are all classic shows, man. Back in the day, we were on from 9 at night to midnight. You know what I'm saying? Every night, y'all were tuned in. The phone lines were crazy. People calling in. Those were the days. And but Tyler Perry, to me, is a man on the DL. He's never been married. I told y'all last show, man. Y'all gotta, stop looking at these multi-millionaires, 50 years old, 45, 50 years old, never been married, single, but they got a couple kids. I believe they're all gay. I know how Hollywood works. I'm not asking people to, you don't have to agree with me. I just know what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Y'all can think what y'all want to think. I know what it is. I know what it is. Like, and I'm not even going to debate with people or argue with people. I'm just telling y'all, if y'all want to believe this show that I'm doing right now and understand this is what the industry is, everything I'm saying is exactly what it is. There's a reason why there's no one else you're going to hear any of this information from, because they're all bought and paid for. I'm not on here doing it with a whole bunch of sponsorships. I'm not on here with a whole bunch of commercials. I'm not on here. Nobody owns me. Nobody can buy and pay. Nobody can cancel me. I work for myself. I got money. I don't need the likes. I don't need none of that. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I'm able to do what I do. you can't be Shannon Sharp, you can't be whoever and say all this stuff because they'll take it all away. Nobody can take nothing I got away. Everything I have, I worked hard for. Nobody can take what I have away. No one can cancel me. And once you get to that point, you can say and do whatever you want. There's a reason why people can't talk about Tyler Perry. What's Tyler Perry going to do to me? You know what I'm saying? You think I care about any of these people? But the way Tyler Perry writes, it's so unrealistic as a man. You watch these films, Shamar Moore with these ridiculous braids, chasing these emotionally unavailable women around, begging them for this and for that. And it's the same theme in all these movies. And it's like, that is not what a real man would do. That is not what a heterosexual man would do. So again, this is just again, the number one richest person in entertainment, male or female, is Tyler Perry. Number one, straight to the top, gay. You know what I'm saying? Wore the dress. How many more do I have to name before y'all eyes open? How many more times? You know what I'm saying? How many celebrities how many more examples? You know what I'm saying? One of the things I gotta realize is, in Hollywood, you are canceled if you say anything about God, or if you say anything about what God says about homosexuality. They use the word homophobic. They use the word homophobic to put you in this space of don't say anything. Because once you're labeled homophobic, phobia, guys know what phobia means? That is a derivative term from the Latin language. Phobia. That's the prefix pho. P-H-O, phobia. That is a term that refers to fear. If you have a arachnophobia, that means you have a fear of spiders. If you are you struggle with homophobia, you have a fear of homosexuals. And I can promise you, very few people, guys, are afraid of homosexuals. Why would you look at a homosexual the same way you would look at a spider? Yeah, arachnophobia, homophobia, they're not the same. My daughter might see a bug. Daddy, can you come kill this bug? It's just a little spider. It'll be a ladybug. Can you come kill this ladybug? She's afraid of a ladybug. Not so much anymore, but back in the day, can you come kill this ladybug for me, Daddy? She was afraid of a ladybug. Are people afraid of homosexuals the way little kids are afraid of ladybugs? Probably not. So that term, I wish we could do away with it because it is not accurate. No one is afraid of homosexuals. And more importantly, you don't hear people say you have a Godophobia. You have a Jesus phobia. Because that's what you really should have. You ever heard people say, I'm a God-fearing man? That's what I'm afraid. So, do you know where that term even originates from? When they say I'm God-fearing, it originates from back in the day, from the Old Testament, with what I read to you. Can we go back for a second for those who just tuned in late and didn't even hear it? But somebody says, or this is what the Bible says in Leviticus 20:13, to read it again. If a man lies with a man as he does with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, and they shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. The blood is already done. Like you're dead already. That is where the fear, that should scare you. See, me doing this show and people not liking it or sharing it or people saying whatever they're going to, that doesn't scare me. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't even affect me. But that scripture right there is what scares me. It says they shall surely be put to death. That should, back in the day, that scared everyone. Y'all know how y'all were single back in the day, ladies? And they would ask you like, yo, what kind of man are you looking for? And you'd be like, well, I want a God-fearing man. When is the last time you actually heard somebody say that? Be honest. No, be honest. Be like, don't just say it. Keep it a buck. It's been a while since you heard anyone say that, right? Because in today's society, very few people are God-fearing anymore. They don't fear God. God has become a mockery. Or people have tried to make God a mockery. They have tried to make Christians a mockery, the butt of jokes, But the reality is, back in the day, everybody was God-fearing. Women were God-fearing. Men were God-fearing. And we did not have this other thing that that God had to compete with called social media. God was the benchmark for where we wanted to get to. The churches were packed. I mean, the churches are still packed, but the preachers don't talk about God no more. Now the preachers want to talk about money. They talk about money more than they talk about God. They talk about politics more than they talk about God. And now it's like a social gathering. Back in the day, it was an actual godly gathering where people would be falling out, crying. The music will bring tears to your eyes. Made you self-examine what you did last night with who you did it with. You felt convicted. You felt guilty. Remember those days? Does that even happen anymore? Do y'all even see people shout in church anymore? Do y'all see people speak in tongues anymore? I don't. I mean, every once in a while, but not really. Just keeping it a buck. Not really. Why? Because you can't fake speaking in tongues. You can't fake that. You can't fake the Holy Spirit. If you do, you look ridiculous. Back in the day, it was genuine. But here's the problem. Y'all ever watch porn and then try to pray? Or you ever have sex and then try to open the Bible? It doesn't work. It does not work. Or try to pray before you know you're about to get your back blown out? Nope. You ever try? Go ahead. Try this. There's certain things that just won't work. All right. When you're on this weekend, when you're on your way to your booty call's house, your jump off, when that guy's on the way over to blow your back out, eat your ass out, put on while you're cleaning up the crib. Try to clean your crib and get all nice and fresh and nice smelling, smell like roses and potpourri and all that crap. Try to put on some gospel music while you're getting ready to have your booty call come over. It won't work. You won't even be able to do it. You won't even be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just try it. You'll see what I mean. And my point is, back in the day, people were convicted. They weren't perfect, but they were still trying to be godly. Now it's like people don't even try anymore. They don't even try. They have become so convinced that their love for celebrity life is greater or more important than their love for God. I'll tell y'all a story. This was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Back in the day, I was dealing with this young woman. She knows who she is if she's listening. We used to go to this church, and it was this, her pastor was gay. I think I told this story. Yeah, but her pastor was clearly gay. 45 years old, 50 years old. I'm looking like, this dude is gay as hell, man. This dude's a fruitcake. The choir director was gay. The people in the congregation were gay. Everybody was gay. And I'm looking around like, yo, I do not belong here. You know what I'm saying? And it was just, and she's sitting up there trying her best to get into it. And I'm looking like, who brought you here? Like, what do you think? But then it occurred to me, her best friend at the time was gay. I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. He introduced her to the church. And she introduced me to the church. And I was like, oh, hell no. I forgot all about this dude until that very moment. I totally forgot about that dude. Her best friend was gay. I was like, wow, now it makes perfect sense. Wow, that actually never connected. It's funny how God will show you things. Because like this whole time, I've never connected that dot. I always do. I went to the church. I'm like, wow. But in this very moment is the first time I've ever thought that, wow, her best friend was gay and he introduced her to the church. It's crazy. But like I said, man, I'm not going to talk y'all's ears off. I just wanted y'all to understand what's happening. But Shannon Sharpe, I didn't really talk about Shannon Sharpe. I mean, is there anything really to say? Shannon Sharpe is gay. I hate the fact that I have to say this, but Shannon Sharpe is gay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, guys. He's gay. He's a gay man. Shay Shay is gay. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Shay Shay is gay. So everything we see, and that's again why he's at the top. Who's the number one podcaster right now? Number one black podcaster. Gay. Shannon Sharpe. Club Shay Shay. He's about to sign a $100 million deal. Shay Shay is gay. I mean, it's like certain things I feel like shouldn't even need to be said. You know what I'm saying? He's gay. Tyler Perry's gay. Now, and those guys are obviously gay. But the other guys with the dresses, that's where it becomes a little complicated. I remember another interview Rick Ross did, and they asked him, they were like, somebody asked, hey man, you've been really successful in the industry, and like what kind of things does it take to get to the top, man? You're right there at the top. And he was like, gave him a look. He's like, man, that's complicated. And that's what he meant. Like the interview probably didn't know what he meant. Most of the people listening at home didn't know what he meant. But trust and believe. I knew exactly what he meant when he said, to get a verse from me, you got to be initiated. I knew exactly what he meant when he said, to get to the top is complicated. You know what I mean? You might not be gay. You might not actually like men, but you're willing to do what it takes because you know what the other side is like. You know what poverty is like. These celebrities know what you ever see a celebrity and they tell you these stories. They say, wow, I used to be homeless. I was sleeping in my car. And then I just happened to run into somebody and he offered me and he told me to come to this audition. I was at my lowest point. And I went to that audition and I got the role. And the rest is history. I was sleeping in my car. I was sleeping in the bathroom stall. Well, did you know what that was? For a lot of celebrities, not all, but that was the time when the devil came to them and offered them that opportunity. And they literally and figuratively sold their soul. And this is in the Bible. The Bible said, and the pastor preached about this on Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, when they said Jesus was at the mountaintop for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. He was at his lowest point. He was super skinny. He lost all types of weight. He was praying. He was fasting. They said he was praying so hard that the sweat was pouring down his head like drops of blood. That's how thick the sweat was. It looked like drops of blood. That's how much he was praying. And at that moment, when Jesus was at his lowest point, the enemy, Satan himself, approached him and offered, he said he tempted him 3 times. 3 different times he offered Jesus the world. And on 3 different occasions, and again, Jesus was on his knees at his lowest point, at his most vulnerable. Jesus was able to withstand that temptation 3 times. But why? Well, that's because he's Jesus. Tyler Perry ain't Jesus. Denzel Washington ain't Jesus. Kevin Hart ain't Jesus. I know some of y'all think he is, but Barack Obama ain't Jesus. Every single one of those people sacrificed their morals and their values, and they put on that dress even after they swore they would never do it. They wanted the fame more than they wanted God. And so they sacrificed what they said. This is what they said they believed in. Barack Obama said, I am a Christian man, so I don't support gay marriage for that very reason. Kevin Hart said, I would never put on a dress. Denzel Washington said, I would never do a gay scene. They all went against what they said they would never do. Why? For fame and fortune. Homosexuality in hip hop, homosexuality in entertainment, homosexuality in Hollywood is rampant. And these celebrities have sacrificed their souls. You can look at them. They are depressed. They are on drugs. These people are weird. It's obvious. It is because they are not happy campers. These people are not happy with their life. You look at some of the other people, the lesser people, they may not have all the money, but they have peace. They have success. It might not be the success of some of these other people. Be honest with yourselves. When is the last time Jay-Z looked happy? Honestly, forget the BS. Honestly, look, this dude is a weirdo. The hair, the locks, you see him out and about. When does he, and I don't know him, I never met him. Beyonce, honestly, I'm not hating on these people. Ask yourself, when does he really look happy? Will Smith, I remember Will Smith, and this is the craziest thing. I remember, come on, that's another thing. Wow, one more, guys. One more. Who's the number? Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I remembered that. How can I do a show on homosexuality and hip hop and not talk about Will Smith? Oh my gosh. Here's another. Who's the number one action star of all time? The number one. Who is it? Will Smith. He's the number one action star in the world of all time. His movies have grossed billions and billions of dollars, more than anyone. But look what he's into. Do we even need to talk about it? Y'all know what he's into. You know what y'all know it. Do I need to even go on? And the crazy thing is there are more people that are obvious that I haven't even thought of. But maybe you have. So just think about this stuff. As you watch these movies, as you listen to The Breakfast Club, as you turn on these TV shows, as you turn on your radio, really think about what I'm saying. You'd be like, oh, snap. Wow, DJ Envy and Charlemagne, wow. Every single day they joke and flirt with each other about having sex with each other like that. Listen, I'm 47 years old. I have never, ever joked in any way about anything remotely homosexual, ever. These dudes are the same age as me, and they do it literally every single day. Every single day. What does that tell you? I did a show, one of my early shows, I'm wrapping up, was back in the day with J.L. King. Y'all remember J.L. King on the DL? He was on a Oprah Winfrey show. He wrote a book. That's where the term DL came from. He was one of my first celebrity guests. And we had a great conversation on there. And he's a gay man, but he was talking about how, these celebrities are gay. These pastors in the church, most of them are gay. The deacons. He talked about the athletes, a lot of athletes that he personally has dealt with or know people personally that it's like we're the only ones on the outside that don't know what's really going on. Most of Hollywood is gay, guys. There was Meek Mill has a quote, and I've talked about this many years ago, but he has a quote from early Meek Mill when he had a mixtape out, And he had a line in there, and he said, they asked me, would I sell my soul for a Maserati? I told him, nah. He said, how about for 100 mil? And I said, probably. Maserati, probably. Get the play on words. Let's just unpack that for a little bit. They asked him, would he sell his soul for a Maserati? He said, no. But would you sell your soul for 100 mil? And I said, probably. That's some wild stuff. Google Meek Mill Illuminati and see what comes up. You'll see a picture of Meek Mill posing just like this. You'll see a picture. Google it. Just Google it right now. Meek Mill 666. Just type in Meek Mill 666 and see what comes up. Drake 666. How about this, guys? Google any celebrity you can think of and put 666, and you'll see them posing like that, guaranteed. Beyonce, Oprah, everybody you can think of, Michael Jackson, everybody, Barack, it'll come right up. It's not. Just try it. I'm not even making this up. But the last thing I'm gonna say is going back to Denzel. I was saying that very few things surprise me in this entertainment industry. And as I was telling y'all, he was in Gladiator 2, and he lied about the gay scene. He lied about kissing a man. He didn't even kiss him. He lied and said that he kissed him and it was edited out, but Ridley Scott said it was never even in it. He said it never happened. So I asked y'all, why would Denzel lie? And so I believe he was nominated for a Golden Globe for his performance. You could not have told me Denzel wasn't getting his third Oscar for Gladiator, especially with this gay agenda and the gay, like that. I thought that was the reason for it. I'm like, okay, he showed his allegiance to the agenda. He did what they asked him to do. They're gonna give him an Oscar as an award. No, he wasn't even nominated. That shocked me, and very few things shocked me, but that actually surprised me. I'm like, wow, because it wasn't a great film. It was a good film. His performance was good, but it wasn't great. But I'm like, they're still gonna give it to him, but they didn't. So I just thought that was interesting. But guys, continue to follow this Shannon Sharpe situation. They're trying to say that now they just released the audio of him saying that he would choke the girl out. I don't care. I'll be honest with you. Like, some people wanted me to talk. I don't really care about that. I don't do the gossip. If y'all didn't notice, that's not what this show is. I'll let y'all go to the other shows for the gossip. Hold up, somebody's calling me. They must not know I'm doing a classic show right now. They don't understand. But I don't do the TMZ. That's not what if you hear me live on this show, it's going to be to do what I just did. You know what I'm saying? I don't do the salacious tabloid. That's never been what I do. But I do like to use celebrities as an example for the information that I like to get to you guys. And that's why I'm talking about Shannon Sharpe, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Denzel Washington, Jay-Z, Beyonce. That's the reason I'm using, so you can see what they're into. Guys, I want to switch it up. The next show, one of the next shows I'm gonna do. I was driving and I'm coming up on a lot of anniversaries. I go through my memories. And I did a lot. I've done over 3,000 shows, guys. No one's done more podcasts than me. No one's done 3,000. I've done over 3,000 shows. Go to iTunes. All shows can be found on iTunes, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. No one's done more podcasts. But I've done a lot of shows, many classics. And one of the classic shows that I've done that I'm coming up on the 15-year anniversary of is teaching men to be better fathers and husbands. And I want to revisit that. Back in the day when people were psychos and they used to debate with me and argue with me, all these single women that were trying to get married, and they were 24, 25, 19, 20. Like they didn't like the advice I was giving because it was causing them to change their ways and different things like that. They used to argue with me. But now that they're 45 and still single with 3 kids, they're like, wow, maybe I should have listened to Dedan. Like, maybe all that debating wasn't the best idea, you know. So, but they don't really debate anymore. But I used to hear a lot of, what about the men? When are you going to do a show about the men, Dedan? What about the men? And so I don't care about, I do what I want to do, you know what I'm saying? But what I did do, I've done several shows on putting that woman first, you know, and things men should do. And I want to revisit that. Now, I was listening to the song recently, Maybe I Deserve by Tank. So that's going to be the title of it. Look out for that title. And I'm going to talk about what men can do at this stage of life to put their woman first, and what happens often when men don't put women first. And I want to take a look at that, and really hopefully men will look at, you know, how to be a better husband, how to be a better father, how to wine and dine these women who are deserving. Everyone's not deserving. You know what I mean? I'm not no simp. That's not what I do. And no one's ever called me. That's one term you'll never associate with me. That's never been me to, you know, pander to women. I don't, you know, that's never been me. But it is important to tell men also things that they can do, that we can do to be great men to our women. So look out for that show, guys. I thank you for listening. Again, subscribe at DadanTolbertShow.com. Follow me on YouTube as Dedan. Facebook, add yourself to the Friends of the Dedan Tolbert Show group. And I thank y'all for listening. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.